So, Vladimir, please introduce yourself. What are you currently doing? Are you studying at medical school?
My name is Vladimir. I study at a medical school in Tennessee. Currently a first year medical student,
hmm
and I'm here for your interview.
Okay. So, what made you decide that you want to become a doctor? Why did you want to become a doctor?
I had many influences growing up. My aunt was a doctor. It's just something I was really interested in from, I guess, not so young of an age, but probably by the time I was starting college. So I got really interested in medicine by actually we had to do community service for graduation. So I volunteered at a hospital
hmm
and I volunteered in the emergency room, and that's what really first got me excited about medicine and started a passion.
hmm
Um,
So, you like to treat people?
oh well, I haven't really. I worked as an EMT, an emergency medical technician in Florida, and that was actually another stepping stone that got me into medicine. Eventually led to medical school,
hmm
but yes, essentially that's what led me to medicine.
Okay. Well, I used to study biology. I got my degree in biology, as you know, and I was surprised that many people, maybe about 60% of all the students, want to become doctors. Can you explain why?
Um, I think basically the desire to pursue medicine in the beginning is influenced a lot by the family and the current, I guess, status quo of the country, being doctors being more prestigious
Mhm.
job, and that's why a lot of people pursue it, which I think is
Prestigious in terms of money?
prestigious in terms of rank, status, just overall societal standards.
Mhm.
And I think this is a little bit of a caveat here because the parents are pushing their kids into medicine sometimes when the kids don't have the opportunity to
Mhm.
pursue their own desires and to find their own path in life. And actually, I was fortunate enough for my parents to give me freedom of choice
Mhm.
of what I wanted to do, and just medicine really had a calling for me,
Mhm.
and I'm just really looking forward to the day where I can actually start practicing and getting interaction with patients.
What are the benefits to someone who is going to become a doctor?
The benefits?
In
Well-
terms of money or anything else?
Well, actually, contrary to basically early medicine in like 60s, 70s, and prior to current 21st century medicine, it was much better as far as societal benefits for doctors. For example, back then, medicine was much different. Currently, it's changing. As far as some students are expected to pay back their student loans way into their 40s and 50s. Before this, earlier, from the early materials that I read, is doctors basically the entire field of medicine is changing very rapidly,
Mhm.
and it's very difficult to predict what is going to be like in the next 5 to 10 years.
Mhm.
But
But what do you think is the major drive for people who want to become doctors? Is it the money? Is it um, opportunity to find a job?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's pressure from parents, obviously money.
Mhm.
I'd like to believe that there is a certain percentage of people that are actually pursuing it for actually benefiting people
Okay.
and not
And
themselves.
what is the average salary of a doctor in the United States?
It really depends on the profession.
What is the range?
The range, I'm getting it can range anywhere from 100,000 all the way to high 300s, 400s.
Okay.
Really depends on your seniority level, your specialty.
Mhm.
A lot of factors could come into play.
Mhm.
Whether you own a private practice or you work for a corporation, and
Mhm. Okay. And what are the challenges to
Uh,
become a doctor? Is it the medical school?
basically
All
there's
the
challenges.
exams.
There's challenges at every step, pretty much.
Can you like go step by step?
So first, I guess
Explain all of them to us.
first is just getting your mindset into getting into medical school, because that's a big challenge in itself.
Mhm.
Because you have to pass medical comprehension assessment tests, MCATs.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about MCAT? What is it like?
And it's basically it's a qualifying examination that basically determines ranks you against students who take it,
Mhm.
and it's something among one of the main factors medical schools look at when determining whether you'll be eligible to be placed
Mhm.
into the incoming class.
Okay. And how much time does it take for an average person to prepare for the exam?
I'm not sure for about average person, but for me, it took about 6 months of preparation.
Wow, so that's a lot.
Yeah, but it ranges anywhere. Some people start studying years in advance.
And the exam is also expensive to take, right?
Yes, and actually for the exam, you're starting to prepare as soon as you start your undergraduate career, because as soon as you enter Biology 1, all that is testable material in the MCAT.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And tell us about the medical school. You're in medical school right now, so what is it like?
It's much different than undergrad. I guess one of the references was one of the sayings is that in medical school it's like drinking out of a fire hydrant or fire hose,
Mhm.
and I'd have to agree with that statement.
What does it mean?
It means the amount of material that you have to cover in a limited time
Mhm.
is probably 4 to 5 times as much as you do a full load in undergrad.
Mhm.
If I had to compare, and you really can't really compare them as well because it's much different approach. You're much more autonomous as far as you're studying.
So how much do you study per day? Tell us about your schedule. What is it like? So you wake up every morning at what time?
Around 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, and what do you do?
So basically, at 6 o'clock, you wake up, you go to class. You'll be done by around late afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock,
Okay.
and then you go home and you study till 11,
Wow.
and then you repeat that.
So it's every day?
Yes, and then on the weekends as well. And really, it really depends on the person how much you study. But I find it that if you dedicate yourself to a profession,
Mhm.
you have to give it your best to extract as much knowledge as you can in the limited
Mhm.
time that you have.
So medical school is really expensive. How much does it cost for a person to go there?
So different medical schools have different prices around the countries. Public schools are obviously cheaper than private schools, but it ranges. And then if we bring in Caribbean medical schools, it ranges as well. So it really depends where you go. It fluctuates. For example, my medical school is about 45,000 a year.
Okay, a year.
So about 45,000 a year.
How many years do you have to complete?
So you have to do about 4 years of basically it's called your undergraduate medical training.
Mm-hmm. So it's 4 times 45,000.
Yes, but then there's other expenses. It really depends on the school and the person.
Mm-hmm.
So it can range.
Mm-hmm. And you take a loan from a bank?
You take a loan mostly from the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them subsidized, some are unsubsidized.
What is the interest?
Well, currently for me personally, there's 7% interest and a 3.5% interest.
Why is there two?
I'm not sure about the basically the economical details, but that's how they broke up the loans. There's only a certain amount that you can get on a lower percent, but the interest rate is pretty high.
So what's going to happen to someone who was studying in a medical school, and for some reason that person failed the exams, and he's going to be expelled from the medical school? What's going to happen to that person? Does he have to repay the loan?
So yes, the loan doesn't. You have to repay it no matter what. So
even if you did not complete the medical school, even if you did not become a doctor, you still have to pay the loan for the medical
yes,
school.
you still have to pay the loan. And but a lot of medical schools they will cooperate with students, and unless the student does not want to be there and cannot physically be there,
Mhm.
it's medical school really works. They really work with their students to try and get them to succeed.
Okay.
But if it doesn't work out, like you said, then yes, they are responsible for the loans.
Wow. So what kind of advice can you give to a person from Russia who would like to come here and become a doctor?
Study hard. Be prepared for a difficult career.
Mhm.
If you want to make money, if you're just here for the money, you're better off finding different prospects.
Okay.
And I think you'll be much happier if you pursue what your soul wants to do,
Mhm.
and not what somebody dictates or society dictates what you should do. So even let's say the salaries of physicians were equalized, like they're in Russia, for example, they're equalized with other salaries. So let's say the doctor was making as much as a nurse or a physician assistant. If you really don't like the job, and the only thing you went for is money, is going to be not a fun experience for you. So that's why I think it's better to pursue something that you have a passion in.
Okay.